Good evening and welcome back. If you want clear, fact-based breakdowns of what is really happening in Washington and how it affects you, make sure you subscribe to the channel right now so you never miss an update.
Senator Reid.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Director. As you're well aware, DOJ is going through and seizing a significant amount of information from different federal agencies. There are multiple lawsuits challenging the legality of this. Their goal, as they admitted, is to develop a single centralized data center which would have vast amounts of data, which could be used for very malign purposes. But first, can you give us assurance that every one of those DOJ workers has the appropriate clearance to see this information?
As far as it relates to the FBI, I can.
But not the other agencies.
Well, I don't know who's where, Senator. I'd have to look.
Well, don't you think it'd be pretty important to look if there is a chance that this is a violation of multiple laws?
Well, Senator, what we do is everyone that is employed at any agency that we own the security clearance process adjudication for, we make sure we adjudicate it appropriately beforehand.
Who would be responsible for the other agencies? The agency itself?
The agency itself.
Have you received instructions from the White House to you and every other agency to ensure the security clearances of these individuals?
For me, as it relates to who we control, yeah, we adjudicate the security clearance.
Did you get an instruction from the White House to do that?
To make sure they have their security clearances? No, I don't need an instruction. I just do it.
Has there been instructions to other agencies?
It's less so an instruction whether it's DOJ or a new hire or whatnot. If they're getting a security clearance, they go through a process.
Well, the bottom line is you, in your position, cannot assure us that all the people that are dealing with this information, because it's vast across the whole government, have the appropriate clearances. Do you know where this information is located when it's removed from federal sites?
What information? The BI information, Senator?
All the information they're picking up from the Department of Treasury, the Department of Agriculture. As you know, DOJ is working through every federal agency.
Well, again, Senator, it depends on who the adjudicator is for the clearance. If we, the FBI, are for that individual or individuals, we maintain it in our BI system.
So they cannot take the information from the FBI. It has to remain in your system. I'm talking about DOJ. When DOJ employees walk into your computers, get on their computers, with their own computers, I've been told, where does that information go?
As far as I'm tracking for the FBI, nobody's bringing in outside computers to do anything.
But is that the case throughout the government?
Well, I can't speak for every other agency. I just don't know, sir.
Once this information is, and in some cases it's been clear in press reports that it is leaving the premises and of the agency, if this information is all consolidated, as the suggestion is, what protections are there for the American people against the misuse of this information?
Well, again, I can't speak to other agencies and how they hold their information. I'm not familiar with it. As far as the FBI is concerned, we hold all information for BIs in one place, and it is not accessible.
Now, you're the Chief Law Enforcement Officer of the United States, practically speaking, and you're not interested in ensuring that the data of millions and millions of Americans are not absolutely secure?
I am, but I cannot tell the Department of Homeland Security how to handle their data. That's for the DHS Secretary. I'm not permitted by law to
What law prevents that? If you believe there's a crime that's being committed.
If there's a crime that's being committed, that's a separate instance, Senator. You're just talking about holding data.
No, I'm talking about holding data that someone should not have access to, and in a place and a location it should not be located at, would, in my view, constitute.
In that hypothetical, if a law was being broken, our line agents would open up a case.
Have you opened up a case?
But we're speaking about a hypothetical, so I don't know.
No, we're speaking about DOJ, which is operating every day, collecting information, putting that information together with, I think, malicious intent, because it's not an agency that's saving a lot of money. And it could be used to defraud Americans. It could be used to interfere with our voting systems. It could be used many ways. And if we don't get a handle on it now, and you're the chief federal law enforcement officer, I think we're going to see some very, very adverse results. And I would hope you would get to look at this and investigate this immediately and take appropriate actions. Thank you.
Senator Britt.
Today, a tense and revealing exchange unfolded during the Kash Patel hearing, one that raises serious questions about government data security, oversight, and the potential misuse of Americans' personal information. At the center of the debate was a little-known but increasingly controversial operation referred to as DOGE, an entity that lawmakers say is moving through federal agencies and collecting massive amounts of sensitive data. Senator Reid opened with a concern that cuts straight to the heart of national security. He pointed to ongoing lawsuits challenging whether DOGE is even operating legally and warned that its stated goal is to build a centralized data system containing information pulled from across the federal government. According to the senator, such a system could be exploited for what he described as malign purposes, including fraud, surveillance, or even election interference. Before we go any further, if you value reporting that explains these moments instead of just replaying them, take a second to subscribe so you can stay informed. The first critical question was simple but powerful. Do the people accessing this data actually have the security clearances required to see it? Kash Patel responded cautiously. He said he could vouch for FBI-related clearances, but admitted he could not speak for other agencies. That admission alone matters. In the federal system, security clearances are not optional paperwork. They are legal safeguards designed to prevent unauthorized access to classified or sensitive information. When even the FBI director cannot confirm who is cleared across agencies, that signals a serious oversight gap. Senator Reid pressed further, asking whether the White House had issued instructions to ensure that DOGE workers were properly vetted. Patel said no instruction was necessary, claiming that agencies already follow clearance procedures for new hires. But here is where the exchange becomes more troubling. Patel repeatedly emphasized that each agency is responsible for itself. In other words, there is no centralized enforcement ensuring that everyone handling this data meets the same standards. If this kind of accountability gap concerns you, make sure you subscribe because this issue is not going away. Then the conversation shifted from who has access to a much more alarming question: where does the information actually go? Reid cited reports that data is being removed from federal systems and possibly stored elsewhere. Patel insisted that FBI information stays within FBI systems and that outside computers are not allowed inside FBI networks. However, he openly admitted he does not know what is happening across the rest of the government. That distinction is critical. The FBI may be locked down, but if other agencies are allowing data to be accessed, copied, or consolidated externally, that creates vulnerabilities. In cybersecurity, the weakest link determines the strength of the entire system. A single unsecured agency can expose millions of records. If you want continued breakdowns like this that connect the dots for you, hit subscribe now. As the exchange deepened, Senator Reid raised the issue of protections for ordinary Americans. What safeguards exist to prevent misuse once this data is consolidated? Patel again fell back on jurisdiction, saying he cannot speak for other agencies and cannot direct them on how to handle their information. Reid clearly rejected that explanation, arguing that Patel, as the nation's top law enforcement official, has a responsibility to ensure that Americans' data is not mishandled or illegally accessed. This is where the conversation becomes less technical and more fundamental: oversight. Reid suggested that if data is being held by people who should not have it or stored in places it should not be stored, that could constitute a crime. Patel responded that if a crime were evident, agents would open a case, but maintained that they were speaking hypothetically. Reid pushed back hard, arguing this is not hypothetical at all. DOGE is operating now, collecting data now, and consolidating information now. He warned that such data could be used to defraud citizens, interfere with elections, or be weaponized in ways the public may not fully understand until it is too late. If you care about transparency and accountability, subscribe to the channel so you stay ahead of these developments. We will continue tracking this story and breaking it down in plain language so you understand what is at stake and why it matters. Make sure you subscribe so you do not miss our next update. And thank you for watching.